Jorge, how are you doing? How's everything going with you today? Thank you for joining us.
And thank you. Everything is really nice.
Thank you. Thanks for participating. For those watching today, we have Jorge Sabo, who is from the Dominican Republic, representing the Dominican Republic. And the idea of this project is to create a space to invite international speakers, international experts who work in different markets around the world to talk about the cultural and communication aspects of doing business in their countries. So it's just more nothing technical, just learning about the cultural aspects. And I have asked 7 questions to all the interviewees, and we will start now. So, Jorge, thank you so much again for your time. The first question is, tell us a little bit more about you and what kind of work that you do today, Jorge, please.
Okay, about me, well, I'm a 36-year-old father of two. I'm an economist with a background in finance, and I've been working at the Central Bank of the Dominican Republic for about 16 years already. I work specifically at the Department of Regulation and Financial Stability in the central bank. And we are in charge of regulations for the banking system here in Dominican Republic, and also um, myself specifically work in the area of reserve requirements.
Fantastic, great. And also, I know you from many years because I had the pleasure of living in the beautiful country of Dominican Republic and had a great experience there. And I know you from your own background. You're very international, so you have this international mindset, which is important in this conversation that we're having here. Understanding how people think when they come to your country, want to do business. So that's why also we're very glad that you're here joining us. Moving to the second question, what are some things you recommend people to do or say when first meeting or speaking with a person with whom they might be interested in doing a new project or a business opportunity together in the Dominican Republic? And also, what should someone not do or say as well in this first encounter, let's say?
I would say that the culture here in Dominican Republic is very peculiar because when you talk to people here in Dominican Republic, we have you can say we're warm people. We are very open to talking to other people, and that may come a little strange, especially to people that live in the United States or in other cultures, because they tend to be, I wouldn't call it respectful, but they're more a little more serious about conversations and business. While here, we are very welcoming, and when we try to do business, when we try to talk to someone, we open up right away. You're 20 minutes into the conversation, and you already feel like you know us from your entire life, and that's something that translates into business. So when you're talking to someone that's Dominican, or you want to do business with someone in Dominican Republic, although it's always nice to be professional about what you're doing, uh, I feel like the trick in Dominican Republic is just being also very welcoming and letting the other person know, uh, showing your cards so they get to know you and they feel more confident about working with you. Something that I wouldn't recommend, especially in the Dominican Republic, is keeping some sort of distance because when you're trying to be too formal or maybe giving short answers or just maintaining a level of distance, then they probably don't trust you enough. They feel like you're not showing everything. You're not telling them everything they need to know, and then they may hold back a little.
Perfect, excellent, excellent advice. And I know from my own experience there, this warmth and hospitality and the connections with the people, especially when you first meet them. So it's I felt that, and I still have this connection and friendship with friends for many years. So it's good advice. People have to open up a little bit when they come, especially in the first encounter, to establish this trust, like you mentioned. So that's
Mhm.
great. Moving to the third question, we recognize that it is important to have a deeper cultural understanding of a local place when doing business there. What cultural aspects might be considered when doing business in the Dominican Republic?
Mm, cultural aspects here in the Dominican Republic, I would say. Um, understanding you got to understand to a certain point the economic background of the people, and that there's also uh, maybe a big disparity among the people. It's a really small island, so you may have people that live that they live up about 5 minutes away from each other that come from very distant social economic backgrounds. And that's something really important. While you have someone that you walk on the street, talk to you about everything and maintain a conversation about certain things, then you'll see someone that lives 5 minutes away that has a totally different understanding of the culture, how things are done, and it's very important to be, I believe, receptive and also not prejudge anyone before talking to them, uh, because you might find yourself acting really different to or acting away towards two the very different individuals, and that probably will work against you.
Yes, it's clear, and this is very common in a lot of our own countries in Latin America. So it's good to know who you're speaking with
Hmm.
beforehand, understand their backgrounds as well. So that's clear. Perfect, Jorge. Thanks. The fourth question: if someone does not speak Spanish, what do you suggest a foreigner do to be able to communicate more successfully with locals in the Dominican Republic and to be able to do business if they don't speak Spanish?
Hmm. Well, that is a really interesting question. If we talk about percentages, I would say that probably not more than 20% of the population speaks English. Uh, I might be wrong, but I feel that is around that number. Uh, Nothing formal, just having a little thought about it. Um, and but what you would do, you would have about a small percentage of the people that do speak English, particularly if they went to an all English school or if they work in the service business. Those people that work at resorts or whatever it's concerning tourism, they do have a certain understanding of the language. Uh, so you do have a big chunk of the population that may not be comfortable with speaking English full time. They will still try and do their best. They will try to communicate. Um, I would say, uh, I don't know, maybe come with a translator that will probably be beneficial. Uh, Another thing, I will still consider that even if a lot of people don't speak English, they will still try their best to try and communicate. Uh, but in order to finally complete the business, you'll either have to bring documents in Spanish, maybe show them a presentation in Spanish, and they will definitely follow up. You know, they will look, try to find a way to make business. English is never, or I would say probably is not always a barrier, as they will. I believe the Dominicans are what they call they like to hustle. They like to find a way to get things done. So that's something I probably think will be beneficial. Um, just trying to find a way to give them something in Spanish that will find a way to complete the business.
No, it's clear, and what you said is true. It's also a country that has a strong sector in tourism. So you'll have a large portion of people that work in tourism that do speak
Hmm.
English. You're very close to the United States, but like you mentioned as well, a translator. With there's enough people, I assume in the country where you can find also translating
Hmm.
translators or companies, agencies that can help you to be in the meetings if necessary, right? So
Yes, and also, I was just gonna say, I'm talking about 20% of people that speak English very well, that they're able to to fully comprehend to a business level, but there are still a lot of people that do speak English to a minor extent. and they will try to find a way to communicate. That's why I was saying that they're always going to try and get things done because they at least have a certain level of understanding of the English language. But yeah, at the end, you will probably, depend on who you're dealing with, you're probably going to need to have either documents in Spanish or find someone to be able to smoothen the process, translate the conversations with.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense, especially when you're dealing with business and legal documents and stuff, and super clear. Great, thanks, Jorge. Moving to the fifth question, to get a better result in visibility or sales, what are your recommendations on the most effective way to do marketing for products or services in the Dominican Republic? This question has a lot to do with how do you communicate, how you present things to the people on the ground. How does a foreign company come in? How would they do their communication of their products or services?
It's always important to study the market in advance to understand that Dominicans tend to buy products they can relate to. So understanding the culture and knowing what Dominicans like, how they interact with each other, will probably be beneficial to the sales team.
Absolutely. And just to complement that, in terms of channels of marketing, social media, is that a way that people also sell or present things? And which of the platforms are mostly used in the country, for example? Instagram, Facebook, what is most used in terms of business sense?
100%. I would say it depends a lot. I still consider myself young, but I'm already 36 years old. And I feel like I've lost touch of certain digital channels, I guess, social media platforms. But for example, I do not use Facebook. I have a Facebook account. I do not use it. But I went the other day on Facebook Market, and there's a lot of people that use Facebook to buy and sell things online, which I didn't know before. I would say that although radio and television are still things are people into, social media has probably taken the reins when it comes to sales and just bringing across your message. Therefore, platforms such as Instagram, X, and TikTok, particularly TikTok, especially for younger generations, are the most used channels.
Yeah, it's good. There's a segmentation of age, let's say, like you're saying. So, no, it's good to know. Good to know a company has to prepare that if they're coming to the market,
Mhm.
well, depending who they're selling to, right? Like you
Yeah,
said.
if you want to sell to me, I will probably buy 70% of the things I buy online. I either see them on Instagram or it comes from someone who recommended it to me.
Okay.
But that's my case. I'm sure younger generations see everything on TikTok. TikTok is really popular, especially from people under 30 years old. And yeah, uh, if you want to sell to other older people, you probably may have to do it either on radio or uh, still probably the papers. Uh, I will suppose.
Oh, those channels exist still, which is great. It's good to know. I mean,
Yeah,
still exist.
exactly.
Yeah.
They're there, and I haven't watched TV like local channels in over 10 or 15 years because I don't have a lot of time to watch TV, and when I do, I end up just watching Netflix or something at home. Um, but there I do see people that are still using their TVs at home and watching local TV. So it still has its segment.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Again, it depends what product, what service the person is offering,
Hmm.
and who's your target market, right? Yeah. Perfect, Jorge. Thanks for the sixth question. It has to do more of empathy, connecting with people. Going back to even your answer way in the beginning, it's important to
Hmm.
have this connection with a person initially. So the question is, if a business partner in the Dominican Republic wants to get to know you better as a foreigner coming in and invites you to a local coffee, tea place, restaurant, or even a virtual happy hour, what are the kind of topics that people in the Dominican Republic like to talk about that's not related to business? So that's first interaction, nothing to do with business. What do they like to talk about in this coffee shop?
Number one, sports. We're crazy about our baseball over here. Uh, um, I believe it translates to both genders, but especially when you're talking to men, uh, everybody knows about sports in general, but also about baseball. Um, that's probably number one. Number two is politics. Here, politics is a big thing. Everybody wants to talk about it. They want to give you your 2 cents about the government. Uh, no matter if they're against or in favor of the government, they want to talk about it. And I would say the third thing will be probably pop culture, just music in general, arts and entertainment, especially about the local part of arts, about our music, about our artists, their performances. That's something you can always talk about, and people will feel comfortable opening up to you.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You're absolutely right. When my own experience there, first of all, I don't know much about baseball, but I learned a lot about baseball when I was there because I had to learn. I had to talk about baseball,
Hmm.
so it was really nice. You're right, and also it's funny because some of the interviews I've been doing with other people from other countries, some of them say do not talk about politics. So it's very peculiar for different countries. Some say don't talk about politics, but in the Dominican Republic you can. And and
And
the culture.
especially
Hmm?
especially if you're from abroad, if you're from a different country, talking about politics, we're just get them interested in telling you about the government, about what's going on, about the political parties, because uh, here politics is really different from other countries like the United
Sure,
States,
sure.
where if you go to the United States and talk about politics, there are two really different groups. You have Republicans and Democrats, and they have very different views of life, society, and everything. Here, political parties don't have a real distinction as it pertains to the type of policies they apply or promote. Uh, they're not like, oh, we have a left wing government or a right wing government. No, here they are pretty much the same no matter the political party. They don't have a real distinction. Uh, as it pertains to way of thinking. Therefore, uh, they're just gonna talk about everything. They're gonna want to tell you everything, and nothing you say will go against their understanding because here they're not from the left or the right. Uh, so yeah. I don't think that there will be any issues regarding talking about politics.
Well, it's good to know. Good to know. Well, the last point about culture. I mean, being a smaller country, but it's so powerful in terms of what you guys, you export in terms of music and culture. People recognize Dominican artists all over the world, all over Latin America, and it's fantastic. I mean, it's very. So I know it's a strong talking point as well. People know these famous groups, and when they come there, there's a lot of connection already. With the local culture there. So that's great. Thanks, Jorge. The last question, the seventh question. What one word should everyone learn to say in Spanish in the Dominican context, and why?
Presidente, for the beer. Yeah, if you understand, if you know that, if you talk about it, because there's a real sense of pride when it comes to uh, home or domestic products. Um, and being Presidente of the beer, probably the most known Dominican product, it will be it will be something you can talk about right away. Knowing about the beer, knowing the term, they feel that there's something you guys can talk about. They feel that there's something you can relate to here in the culture, and it opens up the conversation. It lets people start talking in a different mood because they already know that you know about something that it's theirs, and that's probably something that will help out any conversation.
No, that's excellent. It goes back to the sixth question: how you connect with the locals.
Hmm.
Them knowing that you know something local about the local culture,
Hmm.
which is the beer. I mean, you go to Peru, some other countries, it's some kind of food or some other they can relate to. So it's something that they know that you already recognize, respect from the local culture. That'll open doors and start the trust process, I assume. So that's good. I do remember those days, and I remember that beer. Thank you. No, perfect, Jorge. I really thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being part of this project, for sharing your insights, recommendations, experience. I hope this interview also helps you, and I think it will definitely help a lot of people watching. So there's a lot of business, a lot of interest in the Dominican Republic, especially from North America coming down or from South America. So there's a lot of opportunities in the country. I know it's growing a lot. So thank you. Thank you. Do you have any final comments or recommendations for people watching?
No, actually, I'm just gonna thank you because now I have an understanding of what these conversations are about, and I will definitely go to your YouTube channel and see some of the videos so I can understand more about other cultures.
No, you're welcome. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. So thank you. Have a great day. Thanks so much. Muchas gracias.